Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We've officially hit the middle of the year, you guys. As I'm filming this, it's the beginning of July. So I've had time to process all of the reads that I've read during the first half of the year. So we are going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag today. And I'm so excited to be doing this. So let's talk about some of the worst and best of 2025. The first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2025? And I have two. The first one that I'm going to mention is Wintering by Katherine May. And this is a nonfiction. It's kind of a memoir, but it's also a little bit of a self-help book. This book discusses kind of just the need to embrace the seasons of life where we're forced to rest, or in times of isolation or things like that. It's about embracing what she calls our wintering season and kind of how to do that in a really gentle way, and just to kind of be kind to ourselves and allow ourselves time to rest and heal and recover. So I thought this was really insightful. A lot of it's based on her own experiences of, difficult times in her life. So I found it was a really good read. So that is one of the best books I've read so far this year. The second book is a thriller, and it's by an author that I don't hear talked about a lot. It is Worst Case Scenario by TJ Newman. And she has written a series. There's 3 books. This was her newest release. And they're all about catastrophic plane disasters. And the author TJ Newman, she used to be a bookseller, and she's currently a flight attendant. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of the jargon in her book is accurate because she is a flight attendant. She's in that world. She talks to a lot of pilots, and she really does her research for her book. So it's very scientifically accurate. And yeah, the books are just really thrilling. And I've read all 3 of her books, and I found that each one progressively for me becomes just better and better. The stakes get higher. So this last book was my favorite, and I still think about it. It was, as far as a thriller goes, it was perfection in my eyes. The second question is the best sequel of 2025, and this is gonna have to go to Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, which is the second book to The House in the Cerulean Sea. And I read The House in the Cerulean Sea last year, loved it. I thought it was just so special. And the sequel, in my mind, I know a lot of people didn't like it as much, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a perfect follow-up to the first book, and the magic that was in it, and just the coziness and the comfort and the found family and everything about it was still just fantastic. So I would have to give that to Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Question number 3 is a new release that you haven't yet read but want to. And for me, one of the romance authors I am really a fan of is Emily Henry. So I have read most of her books. I am a little bit behind, so the new release that I would like to read is Great Big Beautiful Life, which is her newest book. Yeah, so hopefully it won't be too long till I'm able to get to that one, but that's probably the one that has been released so far this year that I'm most excited to read. Question 4 is anticipated release for the second half of 2025. And when I tell you guys I am over the moon about this release, when I heard about it, I've never been this excited about a release. I don't really get like that about new books. I just read them when I read them. But Dan Brown is releasing a brand new book. And listen, don't sleep on Dan Brown, okay? So he's coming out with a book called The Secret of Secrets in September. And you best believe I'm going to be reading that. I don't know if I'll read it when it gets released, but I'm really looking forward to a new Dan Brown book. It's been a long time coming, and I'm ecstatic. Question 5 is the biggest disappointment of 2025, and I do have a few of these, unfortunately. So these books just didn't live up to the hype that I had in my head, and honestly, I wish that they would have. The first one was Sign Here by Claudia Lux. And this book just sounded so neat, the concept, like about a guy who works in the deals department in hell. Like, it just sounded so fascinating, and I had high hopes for this one. And it just, you know, when you read a book and you don't know what exactly it is that's wrong about it, but you know that it could have been a million times better. I feel like that was this book for me. The potential was there, and it just fell flat. So that was kind of a disappointment, because I really thought I was going to like this one. I wanted to like this one, correction, just because it sounded so unique to anything I've ever read before. But yeah, this one just didn't work for me, unfortunately. The second book was The Atlas Six by Olivie Blake. This was my first Olivie Blake, so I was really nervous going into it. And it just, again, I feel like this book had potential for me to be really good, and I just kind of found it too slow. It didn't have the aspects that I like in dark academia. Olivie Blake's writing, it's good. It's very flowery, but in a good way. I think you have to be in the mood to read one of her books. So her writing wasn't the issue. I just think this book just wasn't for me. So that was a disappointment, because I really wanted to like this one. I love dark academia and like the setting, the magic, everything about it is really normally what works for me, but this one just didn't, unfortunately. And the third and final biggest disappointment, you guys, was a new release by Hazelwood, and I was so sad about this one. Hazelwood, I've said before that I read romance kind of more as a palate cleanser, and she is an author I know I can turn to, and I usually really enjoy her books. Most of her reads are 3 stars for me, which may sound low, but that's a decent rating in my mind. But yeah, her books are normally books I can read in between my other ones, and it's a nice palate cleanser. But her latest release, which is Problematic Summer Romance, I DNF'd it. It didn't feel like it was a Hazelwood book at all. It felt like she was trying a different style, which is fine. I commend when authors, try to widen their range. It just didn't work for me. I couldn't get through it. There was too many people mentioned right off the bat. I couldn't keep track. I didn't like the different timelines. It was just confusing to me the way that it bounced back and forth. And yeah, I just feel like what's unique to Hazelwood and makes her books hers was missing out of this one, if that makes sense. And I just couldn't get through it. I didn't want to finish it, and I didn't. I DNF'd it. So that was a huge disappointment for me. Switching gears to the biggest surprise of 2025. This is a book I own on my physical TBR, and I got around to it at the beginning of this year, and I surprisingly really enjoyed this book. I still think about it, and I can understand. I feel like Jules Verne, the way that he writes, and I don't mean this offensively at all, but I feel like he might have been on the spectrum, because just the way that he writes, and he's very intelligent, that comes across in his writing. But I can definitely understand how this book would make you want to bang your head against a wall with all the descriptions of sea life, sea creatures, the ocean. Like, there's pages of descriptions on these things, and so I understand how that would drive someone mental. But for me, I really enjoyed it. I felt like he created a world so big with his writing that it really made you realize how small we are in comparison to not only the world, but the ocean. The ocean and its depths have barely been explored. And this book just really emphasizes that fact. It really made me feel small and insignificant in comparison to the depths of the ocean, but it also filled me with wonder and amazement as to the world that was getting explored. So I had a fantastic time with this book. I think it really speaks to a childhood imagination, and I really enjoyed this read. So this was the biggest surprise for me this year. Question number 7 is your new favorite author, and this is going to have to go to TJ Newman. Like I mentioned her book earlier, I love her writing. I love her series. The concept of plain disaster books with her history as a flight attendant is so ingenious, and she executes her books so very well. They're thrilling from beginning to end, and I just can't get enough. So this one has to go up to TJ Newman. Question 8 is new fictional crush, and I really don't have an answer for this. I don't read romance a lot to have like a roster. And yeah, there's not one that comes to mind, to be 100% honest. So I'm so sorry, but this is a non-answerable question for me. Question 9 is your favorite new character, and this hands down goes to Talia, the gnome from Somewhere Beyond the Sea. And well, she's in the house in the Cerulean Sea, but I read Somewhere Beyond the Sea in 2025. But from the first book to the second book, Talia is like my spirit creature. I love her. She's hilarious. She reminds me of me, and she's a gnome with a beard and red boots. Need I say more? I love her. I love her. And she makes poisons from her garden. Talia. I love Talia. She's the best. Definitely my favorite new character. I love her. Love her. Question 10 is a book that made you cry this year. And I have 3. Not surprisingly, they're all memoirs. I tend to get very emotional when someone is telling their story. And generally, there are some pretty sad experiences that they're sharing. And if something resonates with me, it makes me emotional, especially if I can feel the emotion from the author. So there are 3 memoirs that made me cry this year that I read. First one is The Mango Tree, which is a memoir of fruit, Florida, and felony by Annabelle Tomatich. This one was really funny. The author recounts, in the very beginning of the book, the author recounts her mom phoning her from jail. She was arrested for shooting somebody who was trying to steal mangoes off of her fruit tree. So that kind of set the tone for the entire book, but it does get very sad further on. Yeah, this made me cry. I think anything with like mother-daughter relationships makes me emotional, because it forces you to like look at your own relationship with your mom or your parent or whomever, and it hits close to home a lot of the time. So this one definitely made me shed a tear or two. The second one was Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zahner. Again, another memoir about daughter and mother relationships. So this one, I'm sure, needs no introduction. It's no spoiler, but her mother does end up passing from cancer. And yeah, again, it's hard not to get emotional when someone is sharing those parts of their story. So this one did make me cry. And the last one is How Lyme Disease Stole My Childhood by Ali Hilfiger. And I've discussed this in my June reading wrap-up. I had a whole conversation about it, so you already know my thoughts on that, but it would be remiss of me not to mention it again. This book did make me very emotional, not out of sadness. It was cathartic for me, as I received a lot of validation from this book. So I did have a moment where I just had like a release and I just needed to let it out. So that book, we had a moment together. Question 11 is a book that made you happy this year. Again, I've used this book for a couple questions, but it has to go to Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. Even now, when I think of this book, it just makes me smile and it makes me happy. Everything about this book just brings me joy. It's got magic. It's got, the kids, the magical children in this book are what makes the book. And I think it just makes it funny, and it brings the really joyous aspect to the entire read. So that is a book that makes me really happy. Question 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. And I haven't bought a lot of books this year. And when I do buy books, I don't really go for really pretty special editions or even brand new books. I generally thrift copies of books. So usually they're not in horrible shape, but most have been pre-loved. And I just it doesn't matter what the cover looks like or anything. But one copy that I did buy this year is Persuasion by Jane Austen. And I mean, it's not super enticing, the cover. This wouldn't draw me to it. But when you actually get up close, the artwork on the book is really pretty. This is a Barnes & Noble's classic edition. But yeah, I think the artwork's really pretty. So that is Persuasion by Jane Austen. And the last question, you guys, is what do you want to read before the end of the year? And I have 4 books on my physical TBR that I really want to tackle this year. So these are Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I've been wanting to read this book forever. I recently purchased it and I'm really excited to read this one. So hopefully I'll be able to get to this book fairly soon. I have a feeling that this is going to be close to a 5-star for me. It's sci-fi, dinosaurs, it's a classic. What else do I need? So, Jurassic Park. I mentioned this when I did my physical TBR video, and I said that I need to read it this year, and I can't believe I haven't read this book yet. That is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So this is on my winter reading list. I want to read this around Christmas and finally get this one under my belt. So, this one, 2025, this should be read. Hold me to it, okay? And like I briefly mentioned, how Emily Henry is an author that I just adore when it comes to romance, because I'm not a romance reader. She is an auto-buy author for me. I haven't loved all of her books, but I love the way that she writes. Her banter, to me, is uncomparable. I love it. So I would like to get to Funny Story. I haven't read this one yet. So this summer, this just feels like a summer read. So hopefully I'll get to this within the next month or 2. And yes, this needs to get read this year so I can stay on top of her reads. And the last one, I also mentioned this in my physical TBR video. This is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I'm really excited to get to this one. I did start reading it previously. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I stopped. I feel like it was just one of those times where I just didn't pick it up again and then just kind of forgot about it. So I want to get back to it and finish the entire thing. Whether I do that soon or if I wait till like Halloween time, I'm not sure. We'll have to see kind of how I'm feeling. But if I'm in the mood, I definitely want to pick this one up and get this one read in 2025. So that was it for this tag, you guys. I've had a decent reading year. I would say the past month or so has been the worst for me. Well, I started off the year really rocky because I was pretty ill. So January was pretty rough. And I found last month in June, even still now, I got into a really bad slump. So June was a poor reading month for me. It's kind of trickling into this month. I'm hoping I can get out of this slump because I have so many books that I would like to read. But I have read 51 books this year so far, and I've DNF'd, I believe, 3. So not too bad. That's pretty on par with what I did last year as well. So that seems to be pretty average for me. But yeah, I am looking forward to the rest of the year. Like I said, have some books I'm really looking forward to reading, and hopefully I get out of this slump and we can get back into like our normal groove of things. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye.